Dear students, this is your first class. Means from today I am going to start to teach you. As you know, there are two books of literature in your content and your syllabus. First is Hornbill and second is Snapshots. So first of all, I am going to start the first lesson of Hornbill, that is the portrait of a lady. By Khushwant Singh. The writer of this lesson is Khushwant Singh. He is also the narrator. He has narrated his own experiences which he has received along with the company of his grandmother. So this is the introduction. This is me. I am going to tell you something about the lesson so that the theme of this lesson may be clear in your mind. Do you know what is asked from your from the lesson of your literature? First of all, the short question answers are asked, then long questions from the lessons, and comprehensive passages, they are also asked in your examination. The explanation of the lesson or the passage is not asked. So first of all, what is the introduction of this lesson? The portrait of a lady describes a special bond between grandmother and grandson. What does portrait mean? This portrait word has many meanings due to respect of the senses. Portrait means picture that is painted, and here the meaning of portrait is illustration, chitran in Hindi. A lady here means the grandmother of the writer, Khushwant Singh. So what is the illustration of his grandmother that has been presented by or narrated by the writer himself in this given lesson? Now, I have noted some important informations about the introduction of this lesson. They are as: the portrait of a lady describes a special bond between grandmother and grandson. This is the theme of the lesson, describes a special bond, a distinctive bond. A special means distinctive bond. Here bond means love, affection between grandmother and grandson. Means here grandson is the writer himself and his grandmother, whom he loves very much. The love between the writer and his grandmother cannot be described in words. None can define it. Khushwant Singh narrates, means describes, reveals, depicts, illustrates how the relationship develops over the years. This relationship between Khushwant Singh and his grandmother develops over the years, means this relationship develops having taken many years. Love is a thing. If it goes slowly and slowly, then it gets its destination. That is emotional love, love of feelings. Perhaps for this thing, for the love of feelings, for perhaps this thing, God has gifted us this emotion. The other aspect of love is lust, that destroys one day. So, how many years have been taken to make this bond? Many years. This relationship, this bond between grandson and grandmother, means Khushwant Singh and his grandmother, has developed slowly and slowly, taken many years, and changes as the grandson grows up. And this relationship changes as grandson, means Khushwant Singh grows up, means becomes young. Why? Because his feelings, his emotions gradually have been matured. And on the other hand, the grandmother grows older. And when she becomes old, what does happen? What does it happen in her life? Solitude and silence fill the grandmother's days. These two things come in her life. First, solitude, loneliness. Loneliness means quietness. And silence. As a man grows older and older, he becomes silent and silent. He starts liking silence, or she starts liking silence and solitude. Man or woman, both. And this thing, which thing? Solitude and silence. When these things come in her life as she becomes old, this thing, in these things are this thing, as she distances herself from the real world. In short, it may be said or it may be understood that when these two things come in one's life, when he or she becomes old, solitude and silence, what does it happen in his or her life? She distances or he distances. In this lesson, she distances herself from the real world. Means she separates herself from the real world, means from the materialistic world, from the relations of the materialistic world. She now prefers, now means when she becomes old. Prefers means likes the company of gods. As a man becomes old, two things come in his life or in her life, man or women. First is solitude and second is silence. And these two things separate him or her from the world or from the materialistic physical world. She now prefers, means she now likes, or in this lesson, his grandmother likes the company of gods. She has become spiritual. And also the birds. She prefers the company or she likes the company of gods and birds. Now she enters a world of her own. What does it mean? It means that she is happy in her world, her own world. The life of a man or woman is itself a world. And is content with herself, means he is satisfied with herself. When we get the company of gods, when we become spiritual, then a real contentment, a real satisfaction come in our life. Only spirituality can give us a real gratification, a real contentment, a real satisfaction. Khushwant Singh draws here an interesting portrait of his grandmother. In this lesson, Khushwant Singh has tried his best to compose an interesting portrait, means illustration of his grandmother. Because there is distinctive bond, relationship based on pure love between them. He presents her as a tender, loving, and deeply religious old lady. And the virtues or merits of his grandmother. He present means he has presented some merits or some qualities, virtues, accomplishments, attributes of his grandmother. What are these? She is a tender lady. Means her behavior is very tender, very soft, very milky. Her behavior is loving and deeply religious old lady. She is not only a religious, deeply religious. Means she is deeply devoted to God. Intensely devoted to God. Singh says that his grandmother was an old woman. In this lesson, she has been pictured by the writer as an old woman. She was so old, means she was very old, that her face was wrinkled. Wrinkled means full of wrinkles. Old age destroys the charm of beauty of the body and face. Her face is full of, at this time, wrinkles. At the present, it was difficult to believe. At the present, when she has been old, it was difficult to believe she would ever had been young and pretty. Means when she was young, she was very pretty, very beautiful. She was beautiful lady in her young age. It is difficult to believe seeing her face at this time. Her hair was white as snow. That is also the symbol of old age. She had a little stoop in her back. The back of his grandmother had a stoop. Means her back was bent. Stoop means bent. A little bent. She could be seen reciting her rosary all the time. It was her daily routine. Now, she spends in this lesson. Although this lesson has been written in past, but I am describing the introduction of this lesson. That is why I am using present in this in this lecture or in this description. When we describe something, some happening, then due to the respect of composition, that must be in present. She could be seen reciting her rosary. Rosary means garland. of beads. Reciting means here chanting. Rosary means garland means garland of beads. मन का समझते हैं, एक तो फ्लावर्स की गार्लैंड होती है, माला होती है, और जो मनके वाली होती है उसको रोजरी कहते हैं। जो बीड्स की होती है उसको क्या कहते हैं? रोजरी कहते हैं। मीन्स शी स्पेंड्स हर टाइम, her time of the day, most of the time of the day, reciting rosary. माला चलाते हुए ही उसका दिन व्यतीत होता है। The author means the narrator, and you know better about the name of Khushwant Singh, says that she was like the winter landscape in the mountains. He has also compared his grandmother with the winter landscape. I will explain this information when I will teach you the text of this lesson. This information has been given by the writer in the lesson also, in the text of the lesson also. And expanse of pure white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. As she is looking at this time when she has been old, and the writer spends his days along with her company, he has felt her such as. Thank you for watching this video. In the next time or in the next class, I will start your text. All those students of this group who have bought or arranged their book, means hornbill, having opened their book, they will read the text of the lesson along with me. I will explain that text in both Hindi as well as in English, because as I have noticed that many students have not proper understanding to understand spoken English, although they are capable to write down. That is why they have come in 11th class. They have this capability. I accept it. But they have lack of understanding spoken English. Do you know? Speaking English is easier than understanding spoken English. Best of luck. In the next class, I will start your text of this lesson. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please, if you are unable to understand, this introduction. You can, I am not telling you may, you can ask your problem in comment box of the YouTube, or by calling me you can ask your problem. I will try my best to solve your problem. Thank you very much.